The moment Maurice Sam and Chai Neeb stepped into the Easter season, it didn't feel like the regular celebrity routine where a quick post is dropped and forgotten. It came with a different kind of attention that made people pause, because instead of just typing out a simple greeting and moving on, they delivered it in a way that carried presence, something that felt intentional and carefully expressed, and fans immediately picked up on that difference because the timing, the tone, and the delivery all aligned in a way that made the message feel alive rather than scripted. Maurice Sam came through with that calm, steady confidence that makes his appearances feel effortless, while Chai Neeb balanced it perfectly with a soft, cheerful energy that added warmth and relatability. And as their Easter wishes started circulating across platforms, reactions didn't just come in as likes or quick comments. People actually started talking about it, sharing it, and pointing out how genuine it felt compared to the usual seasonal posts they see. And that was where the moment started building into something bigger, because it wasn't just about the greeting anymore. It became about the connection behind it, the way both actors seemed to understand their audience and how to communicate with them without overdoing anything. And just when fans were still engaging with the Easter message, they added another layer that completely shifted everything by dropping a movie for viewers to stream. And that single move changed the entire atmosphere, because now it wasn't just Happy Easter anymore. It turned into Happy Easter and here's something to enjoy. And that made fans stay longer, engage deeper, and actually interact beyond surface level. And the transition felt natural, not forced, because it flowed with the mood of the season, giving people something to watch, something to feel, and something to talk about during the holiday. And almost immediately viewers began streaming the movie, sharing their reactions, and creating conversations around the storyline, the emotions and the performances. And what stood out was how people kept linking it back to why Maurice Sam and Chai Neeb continue to stand out in Nollywood. Because beyond acting, they are showing an understanding of timing, audience engagement, and how to turn simple moments into experiences. And as clips and reviews started spreading, fans began revisiting their previous collaborations, comparing performances, and even discussing the emotional depth they bring into their roles. And all of this came from what initially looked like a simple Easter wish, which is why the moment kept growing instead of fading, because it had layers, first the greeting, then the movie, then the conversations, and then the continued engagement that followed, and it became clear that this wasn't random or accidental. It reflected a pattern of consistency in how they present themselves, and how they keep their audience involved without making it feel like pressure or promotion. And that balance is what made everything stand out, because people didn't feel like they were being marketed to. They felt like they were part of a shared moment, something they could enjoy and even invite others into. And as more viewers continued to stream the movie, the feedback kept expanding, with some focusing on the chemistry, others on the emotional delivery, and many just appreciating the fact that they had something fresh to watch during the holiday period. And that appreciation turned into more shares, more recommendations, and more discussions that kept the momentum going. And even those who initially saw just the Easter greeting found themselves going back to check out the movie because of how much attention it was receiving. And that cycle of curiosity and engagement is what kept everything alive far beyond the initial post. And what makes it even more interesting is how effortless it all looked from the outside. No heavy announcements, no dramatic build-up, just a well-timed message and a content drop that matched the energy of the moment perfectly. And that simplicity is what made it powerful, because it connected directly with how people consume content during holidays. They want something light, something engaging, something that feels like it belongs to the moment, and that is exactly what was delivered. And as the buzz continues to spread, one thing keeps standing out clearly. Moments like this are not just about visibility. They are about connection, about understanding when to show up and how to give people something meaningful to hold on to. And that is why this Easter gesture is still being talked about, because it didn't just pass through timelines, it stayed, it sparked conversations, and it created an experience that people are still engaging with, sharing, and remembering even after the day itself has gone by. And as the conversation keeps expanding, more people are beginning to break down the deeper meaning behind what looked like a simple festive moment, because what Maurice Sam and Chai Neeb did goes beyond just celebration. It reflects a growing awareness of how actors are now shaping their relationship with their audience in real time. Not waiting for movie releases alone, but creating continuous touchpoints that keep fans emotionally connected. And that is why even after the initial excitement, the engagement didn't drop. Instead, it evolved into discussions about consistency, about intentional presence, and about how small gestures can create lasting impressions when they are done with the right timing and energy. And viewers began to notice how the Easter message itself carried a tone that felt personal, almost like it was directed to each fan individually rather than a general broadcast, and that feeling of closeness is what made many people respond in a more emotional way, dropping comments that went beyond the usual "Happy Easter" replies into expressions of appreciation, admiration, and even loyalty. And that level of response is not something that happens randomly. It is built over time through repeated moments of genuine engagement. And this Easter drop simply amplified what has already been building around them. And as more clips from the movie continued to circulate, new viewers who may not have been following closely before started joining the conversation, asking questions, seeking links, and sharing their own reactions after watching. And that created a fresh wave of attention that extended the lifespan of the moment even further. And what stands out again is how everything connects, the greeting leading to the movie leading to discussions, the discussions leading to more visibility, and the visibility looping back into stronger fan engagement, creating a cycle that keeps reinforcing itself. And that is what makes this entire situation feel less like a one-time event, and more like a strategy that works because it is rooted in understanding audience behavior. And as the days go by, the Easter message still holds relevance because it is now tied to an experience people had, something they watched, something they talked about, something they shared with others, and that is why it continues to resurface in conversations, not just as a greeting but as a moment that delivered value, and that value is what keeps audiences coming back, staying connected, and looking forward to whatever comes next from them.